Sure.
If she shouts at you, please don't shout at her. Because if the tables were turned, have you heard me? You would probably do the same.
Or worse.
Or worse.
Okay, and then that takes us to facilities within the hospital. How adequately equipped is the UUTH? We have enough medical facilities?
You saw me take a very deep breath. Have you heard me? I think UUTH is a tertiary hospital, but I have to say, unfortunately, the resources, for whatever reasons, for many of these facilities, we've done well over the years, because if you ever came to this hospital 10 years ago, it's not the same hospital. Over the last 10 years, in terms of infrastructure, they've been close to about 15 new buildings,
wow,
either built up or heavily renovated in this hospital. So it's not, like I said, I came to this hospital in 2004. 4th of January 2004 was when I reported here as a very young consultant. And then most of the hospital was in this building. Right now there are more than 20 buildings. I think we had only about 4 buildings in this compound. I think there were stores, that was the amenity, and the old theater. Was there any other building? That's basically, that's how small, but now the hospital has expanded. So in terms of infrastructure, I think we've done fairly well, even though we could still do a lot more. Over the last 2 years, about 6 new buildings were to commence, but with the challenges of capital releases, the contractors have refused to start. And if you go around, you see about a few of them abandoned because the contractors have not been paid. So in terms of infrastructure, even though we've had a pass mark, I think we could do a lot better. In terms of equipments, I also say that over the last couple of years, we've brought in a lot of equipments. But I'm not very happy. I think the maintenance culture is quite poor. Like I tell my engineers, this hospital has become a graveyard of medical equipments, because you are bringing in something in a few months' time. Now, part of the challenge is that the equipments we now have are not the type we used to have. Remember, everything is now made in China. Before, they were made in US and all that. But we can no longer afford the US and Europe kind of equipments because of the strength of the naira. So we have to fall back on the cheaper electronic equipment kind of stuff, and then these things do not really last. Part of it is the fault of not maintaining it well, but part of it is the equipment itself. So but then we have a challenge in some of the very major equipments which we need. Our CT scan has been down for a few years now. At the last time, I needed over 100 million to fix it. But in 2024, we had this provision for a radio diagnostic center, which we started. We were supposed to bring in a brand new CT scan, an MRI, fluoroscopy, X-ray, all this high-tech. But unfortunately, that project has not been completed because of incomplete capital. I'm a bit scared when I say these things on air, but it is what it is. Okay. The place is there. We had a new radiology complex. It was supposed to have been furnished state of the art with all these things, but it is not there. But mercifully, again, through partnerships, the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA, is building an advanced diagnostic center within the hospital. I pray in the next few months that will be fully commissioned. It's actually going to be further down, fantastic place. But I'm a bit worried because that may not be totally openly accessible to people who cannot pay, because it's a public-private, remember, Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, MedSev. So it's like something that should recoup its funding. So I'm not sure that these indigent people who cannot have money to pay would have access. So it's still, we're hoping that money will be released.
Okay, we'll take a break now. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Thanks for still being there. So good to know that you are still there. And if you're just joining us, the program remains Health Matters, and we've been having a very, very interesting conversation with the Chief Medical Director of the University of UUTH Teaching Hospital, talking about Professor M. Bassi. And so before we went on the break, we were talking about
equipment
and all of that.
What I said was one of the major gaps in Akwa Ibom State. Well, I guess the new hospital, International Hospital being built by the governor, may address that, but until that comes, is that we do not have a cancer center in the state. And what it means is that, and we see, and the burden of cancer is huge. If you come to our clinics, oncology clinics, there's a lot of breast cancers, a lot of prostate cancers, a lot of cervical cancers, ovarian cancers, quite a lot of leukemias and all that. We need to have a cancer treatment center. Very recently, we were told that we're listed among the hospitals to be given, ELINA, accelerator, ELINAC and all that. I think I did reach out to His Excellency because it's not just the equipment itself. You need, a center, that can house this and all that. So that's a very major gap in the state, which I hope can be addressed because a lot of our people are dying from cancer, which could have been prevented. For me, I think I want to use this opportunity as let's have a cancer. It doesn't even matter, even if it's in the state government facility or here. The most important thing is that the people of Akwa Ibom State can access that for treatment.
Oh, thank you so very much, Prof. And still talking, you made mention of insufficient funding. I don't know, have you been trying to explore alternative sources like maybe the foreign donors or those in the diaspora or whatever means?
Maybe it's a cultural thing. Why am I saying this? Because until recently, I was chairman of the Committee of Chief Medical Directors of Federal Tertiary Hospitals. That's across for the last 3 years until recently. And that meant that I had traveled extensively across the Federal Tertiary Hospitals, especially in the West and the North. What I see, you go and see an entire block built by an individual and donated. I've not seen that here in New York. I have, in all honesty, I have approached a lot of our major, stakeholders for assistance, and some of it has not been forthcoming. So it makes you look like a beggar.
That's true.
And again, a lot of the companies, one would have expected that this being an oil-producing area, that would have a lot of the oil companies assist us. I would want to say, let me thank the NLNG, Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, they helped us to renovate the accident emergency. As at the time we commissioned that was about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, that was about 3 years ago. Yeah, a little bit over 3 years ago. It was probably the best in the country. Of course, recently, because of overuse. That accident emergency is more than 100% occupied at any time. So continuous usage. A lot of the equipment have since become faulty and all that. So I want to thank them. Now, the very sad news, and I'm going to call them out, is that in 2017, a groundbreaking for a trauma center was done